Good morning, guys. Good morning, cubies and newbies. I'm Sunshine. This is the ABCube method for solving Rubik's Cubes. It works on other things as well, but I designed it for Rubik's Cubes. The ABCube method for solving Rubik's Cubes I published in 2020. Took me a couple months to come up with the method, but then it took me 5 years of beta testing, alpha testing, I don't know, to get it where I thought it was ready to present. For 5 years I said, I found someone who did not do the cube at all. Never solved a Rubik's Cube, and said, hi, I need your help. Here's a cube, here's a 5x5, here's my method. Tell me where, here's a cube, here's my method, tell me where you get confused. And then I would take that feedback and I would rewrite the book and find someone else because they'd been tainted. And so I did that for 5 years, and then when I had it the way I wanted it to be, then I reached out to the publishing world, started looking for an agent. And I got a couple of nibbles. But they're like, okay, who are you? Who are you that you're an expert in this field? And someone would want to buy a book by you. What makes you famous? And at that point in time, the answer was, I created a method. I can teach the Rubik's Cube. But the fact is that anybody can go to YouTube and learn their cube for free. And so, why me? So I took the cube. I had written it from the perspective of the 3x3, and everything smaller and everything larger is also covered. So you're learning every cube. But there's 100 books out there about Rubik's Cubes. So I took the next 5 years and I said, okay, here's a 5x5. Here's my book. Tell me where you get confused. Because I rewrote the book from the... What do you want, kitty? I rewrote the book, for the manuscript. It's not a book until it's published. I rewrote the manuscript from the 5x5 perspective instead of from the 3x3 perspective with, oh, and by the way, it solves everything smaller as well. So then, to answer the question of, well, who are you? I published it online, and then and posted about it on speedsolving.com. And I am also on Wikipedia for the Professor's Cube, because it's a direct solve of the 5x5 rather than the reduction method. So now I get to start reaching out for agents again to see if I can get my book published, my manuscript published. Because I'm old and I want to have it in my hand. I want to have it physically in my hand and say, look, I did this. I know everything nowadays is digital or ebooks and stuff like that, but yeah. So Rubik's AB method. This is formula A. This is formula B. Oh, I gotta split thumbnail, split fingernail. Sorry. This is formula A, formula B, 4 moves, 8 moves. That's all you need to solve every size Rubik's Cube. Because formula A brings a piece to the top, formula B moves 3 pieces around, and that's all you ever need to do. Formula A I use to do the corners. It's the bottom row on the outside in the right column, and it brings the corners to the top and twists them around as needed. And so formula B, it moves 3 pieces around if you want them to. If you use the top row outside columns, it moves the corners, and if you use any, you can use any 2 columns, and the 2 columns that you use dictate which piece moves. So you find a piece that wants to move. Here's a white piece. It's going to move to the top, so you hold the cube so that the white's on top. And then the first row is to line it up to something that wants to come down. So this white piece, for example, is going to land in this spot. So I can bring down this blue or this red or this orange or this orange. So since red's my front color, I'm going to bring it that way. So that's my first horizontal move. And then I follow this piece. I don't have to remember which columns I have to use. I just follow this piece. So I go first column up. I rotate the top so that it lands in a different column. And then that's my second column up. And then reverse, down, reverse, down. And you moved that piece, but you only moved 3 pieces, so you're not messing up anything that's happened before. So that's it. How you guys doing? Who all is here today? Anybody want to chat with me? I know it's Wednesday. You guys are probably getting ready for work and school, and that's okay. I can just chat in the background. Just chat in the background. So the thing with the ABCube method is you don't have to memorize dozens or hundreds of algorithms. And then not only for each algorithm you memorize, you also have to memorize what it does, which order to use it in, so you're not messing up things that go before. Because most algorithms will move the pieces that you want, but also have unintended consequences. So the more precise you want to be, the more fewest moves you want to be, the more precise the algorithms are that you have to memorize. And so I went in the exact opposite direction. Instead of going for speed, instead of going for efficiency of solve, I went for efficiency of learning. I went for what is the easiest way to do it. And so I challenged myself. I said once I figured out the method for moving the inner columns, I narrowed it down. I wrote it down on a piece of paper, narrowed it down to arrows so I could follow what was happening, because I'm more visual than if it's in arrows, I can see that the right prime and the left are parallel to each other, that kind of thing. So I realized, I'm like, it's 8 moves. What happens if I apply those 8 moves to these 2 columns? Top row, 2 columns. What if I do it to this one? And so when I did that, I realized, let's see, slide up, slide down, slide down. I realized that what happens was it moved 3 pieces, and only 3 pieces, and the 3 pieces were the corners. Okay. Do it again. So when I realized that it moved the corners, I had about 5 or 6 algorithms that worked on corners, and I had one that moves the corners clockwise, one that moves the corners counterclockwise, one that switches the opposites, one that does, there's you know how it is. And so I realized that if I could do that, I could throw away the corner algorithms if I use formula B. And so then I'm like, well, what happens if I apply it to an outside and inner column? Well, what happened was the edges moved, and I'm like, oh, well, I have these many algorithms that I use to work with the edges, depending on whether I want it to move this way or this way or this way. And so I just played with it for a while and realized that I could solve all of them. Once I knew that I could solve the 3x3, I wanted to know if I could solve all of them. And using just formula A and B. And the hardest part about doing it was looking at the cube and knowing that I knew how to solve it from that state with this algorithm or this shortcut. And I'm like, well, if I write that, anything I did to solve the cube, I had to write down in the book that I was creating, the formula that I was creating. And I'm like, is there a way to do it with just the 2 so I don't have to add another algorithm? To just be used when you get to this shortcut, or the parity algorithm to be used just when you have a parity, So parities are fun. Parities are a lie. The cube is too honest to have a parity. If you have a parity, it is because there's always 3 pieces to move around, and if it looks like there's 2 pieces and only 2 pieces, third parity is the piece you can't see. The third piece is the piece you can't see. And so if you rotate the row that touches the parity at 1/4 turn, and then solve the edges again, then the parity has disappeared, which is one reason why I work from the corners out, because you can have a corner parity or an edge parity, you can't have a center parity. So as you're working with it, if when the parity shows up, you just undo it with a 1/4 turn and then continue, then you're not stuck with the 4-second algorithm to fix it at the end. So, and it's, you know, solving the center is the same whether you're doing it without the edges done or not. So, good morning. I hope you're going to have a great day. So then I had to figure out, Doug told me to try the minks, and I tried the minks, tried this one. And formulas A and B worked pretty well up till I got to the last layer, and then the last layer, when I tried to work on the edges, there was unintended consequences. I'm like, oh, guess it doesn't work. Well, it does work. Formula A and Formula B does work. The only difference is that you have to do the edges first before you do the corners. Do the centers, the edges, the tips, the tip of the star. You have to do the tip of the star before you do anything else, because when you do the tip, you can still use formula A and B, and B is still the top row and 2 columns, but you can't cross the center. So it'd have to be these 2 columns for the edges, and if you wanted to go over to this column across the center, you just have to make it be on the same side of the column, because you can't cross the center divide. But when you use the center, you get unintended consequences. So for example, let me apply formula B to this piece, which is going to land in this spot. Okay, so formula away up, in, up, away, down, in, down. And sure enough, this piece went here, this piece went here, this piece went here. So I did move those 3 pieces like I wanted to, but it also affected other pieces as well. So I can affect these 3 corners also doing formula B. So I use the outside top row and outside columns to move the corners without moving anything else. So I use formula B to set my corners, and then formula A to twist them in the right position. Okay, that's 2. Slide the top, keep going on a different piece that's wrong. And when you have a multiple of 6, then the rest of the cube is not affected, and so so you can move just these 3 corners, just these 3 edges, but you have to do it before you do the corners, or you'll have to redo the corners. So order of operations is do the tips of the star first before you do anything else, because you get other. Because the corners are going to be affected, just like that center row is going to be affected when you rotate for a parity. So if you save those for the last, then it doesn't matter. So formula B does work. You can move 3 pieces around, put them back. Okay, 3 times get you back to what your original state. Okay. Now my edge pieces are correct, and then these 3 corners still need to be worked. So that's top row and then outside columns. These these will stay the same. So I move it way up, in, up, out, down, in, down, and they're in the correct place. Formula A will twist them. and it's always multiple of 6, and we're done. So I think I'm probably going to do some unscheduled solve time, unscheduled stream time to to show how Formula A and B works, solves the minxes as well. I think the minxes are actually more of my favorite than the cube, because the cube, if I want to just meditate, if I want to just relax, and so then I solve the cube. But this one, to do when you get to here, because there's so many faces and so many colors, you have to kind of think ahead where the moves are where the pieces are going to hop to, and so there's more. My brain engages more on the minx than it does here. This is when I can do everything with just A and B. Then because I'm doing the same thing over and over again, because it's repetitive, it's very calming, very relaxing, very, very meditative for me to solve the cube. So let's scramble a cube and solve it. Or we can look how the patterns move. Okay, so top row outside columns moves these corners around. And top row outside column and inside column moves edges around. And only 3 pieces, edges around. Okay, twice more. And you're back. And top row and 2 inner columns moves the center pieces around. So you just have to pick which piece you want to move and which direction it wants to go in, because you're moving 3 pieces, and so the piece that you select is incorrect, and the piece that's where it wants to land is incorrect. So 2 of the 3 are already incorrect. So when you make that, you can make that move in the confidence that you're making progress, or even if the 3rd piece is correct, because you're moving 2 pieces that are not. So there's that. Interestingly enough, it's the fact that the outside columns are being touched that makes any move possible. If I move something other than, if I use the 2nd row instead of the top row, if I use just an inner row and 2 inner columns, then here's what happens. I go away, up, back, up, away, down, back, down, and everything that moved was inside. Da-da-da. So you can do a pattern and have nothing happen. Same on this cube. If I do the top row in these 2 columns, slide up, slide down, nothing happens. It happens on the larger cubes because there's more pieces that you can see. So, but there are pieces, you can do methods, you can do things that don't do anything. So, all right. All right. I won't offer to race anybody because I'm not fast. I am starting to learn finger tricks, though. Some finger tricks. Okay. Finger tricks were not a thing. I learned when I learned the cube, finger tricks weren't a thing. Because the cube was clunky. Original Rubik's still are, but not so much. Not so much. Okay, so when the white's on top, when your color's on top, the corners are either correct to each other or they're not correct to each other. either one side matches, no side matches, or all four matches. So when no side matches, doesn't matter how you hold it, you're going to do formula B and A, and then one side will match. But when one side matches, you're going to face that away from you, because these three are going to be turned, and up, up, down, down, and then formula A to bring the color back to the top. And when you do that, the sides will match. So working with the second four corners, using just A and B, the A is always a multiple of 6, then the B doesn't change anything. So when you've abandoned, your bottom is not going to alter when you work on the top four corners. So as long as you don't rotate the cube while you're doing it. So that's why you can solve the second four corners the exact same way you solve the first four corners, and then line them up to line the top up to the bottom, and the corners are done. This is, oh, you guys, I gotta show you this. I've shown you this before, but I'm so happy. Look at this. See my purse? There are other ones that you can buy, but most of them that you can find are not, like the top row is just blue and green, and the bottom row is just like red and white, and the middle row is something else. So it's not scrambled like a real cube. It cannot be a real cube because the blue and green are touching each other, etc. So this one, I found this one as a crossbody bag, and I'm like, oh, that's so nice. So I was looking at all of the, so I was looking and seeing what my options were. There is another crossbody bag that it zips on the top, opens up. There's another crossbody bag that has 5, instead of just the sides colored, it had the top colored as well. And the zipper, it was a Betsy Johnson, so it's like a signature thing. But the zipper went along between the top and the second row, so it would lift up like so you could have 5 layers instead of the other one. But when I looked at it, it was scrambled like a real cube, but it had non-standard colors, like the patches weren't the typical colors. They had, like, you had pink corners and things like that. So it looked like a solvable state, but from a non-standard colored cube. So I got this one instead, and I love it. And I tried to look for it again today so I could tell you guys where I got it from, but I could not find it again. I got it from like Etsy, and there was like only one of them. So good luck finding it. But everywhere I go, I get like a couple people saying, "Oh, I love your purse. That's so cute." And one lady came up to me. She said, "Can I take a picture of you with your purse? Because my son does the cube." Da, da, da. I'm like, "Okay, sure, fine." But it's such a mark. It's makes it so easy for me to network. You know, whether my daughter took me out for brunch, or whether I was at the doctor's office yesterday. So I love my purse. I'm so happy for it. And when I pull out, I'll like, "Oh, you like that?" And I'll reach in and I'll pull out this. And they're like, "Oh, is that a coin purse? You have a coin purse too?" I'm like, "No, it's not a coin purse, but it's just a cube carrier." But so I'm gonna have to get another one of these and use it just as a coin purse, because everybody thinks it should be a coin purse. And so I'm like, "No, it just holds cubes, but I teach the cube, and I can teach, and they're like, "Wow, look at that one. How do you do that one?" So this is fun. Yes, ABCube method does work for the 3x3x9 as well. Just formula A, just formula B. The only difference is that when I get to where I'm working on the 9 side, and my formula B is away, out in like this, and for an n by n cube, that does not make a difference because you can work with the inner rows. But when they're banded like the 3x9, the only difference is that every top row, every top turn, instead of 1 back and forth, needs to be 2, and that way I can still access my 9 columns. So it's still formula A, formula B, but the only difference is that for the top columns it has to be a double flip instead of a single flip, and then you can work with the inside pieces and see how those work along. So the ABCube method is, like I said, it's the simplest one to teach anyway, because there's only 2 things to memorize, and it's effective on all of them because the you're always only moving 3 pieces. Once you've learned to correct the lie of the parody, so it's fun. I'm proud of myself. Anyone else? Anyone new here today? Hi, Mittens Girl. Let's see. So we've got. I won't try to pronounce your usernames, but thank you for joining me. You know what? I'm gonna call it a day and get on with my life. Wish me luck. I'm moving. I'm moving this weekend. Only 10 minutes away, but I'm moving. So, that is more fun than human beings should be allowed to endure. So, especially, I mean, I am disabled, so I need help. So ABCube method works on every cube, every n by n cube, some of the non-n by n cubes, and it works on the minxes as well. Just formula A, just formula B. You don't have to memorize anything else. And parodies are lies. So I should solve the cube before I should solve the cube. Corners are done. That's formula A and formula B to do the corners. Then, since I've been looking for yellow and white, I keep looking for yellow and white. So I hold the cube so yellow and white are left and right. I find a piece in the middle that has one of my colors. I line up the corners to match it, determine which direction it's going, and then formula B, still top row, 2 columns. The 2 columns are where the piece wants to land. This is my first column. And where the piece begins, this is my second column, because this is the orange and yellow is going to go between the orange, yellow, something corners. So top row, 2 columns, first and second. Start by moving, the first horizontal move is away from the action. So you go away, up, in, up, away, down, in, down, and this piece is placed. Find another piece. If the color's on front, you have to flip it so it's on top, but you keep the yellow and white left and right. And then bring the corners together to match the front. Determine its direction. First column, second column, start by moving away. Up, in, up, away, down, in, down, and that piece is placed. Find another piece that's yellow or white. The color on top, bring the corners to match the front color. Determine its direction and move away. First up, back, second up, away, down, back, down. And we're just placing the pieces one at a time. Bring yellow and white are left and right, corners, hiccups. Hiccups are not fun. See if I can avoid them. Okay, corners match the front. It's going in the right direction. Away, up, in, up, away, down, in, down. Find another yellow and white are left and right. Find another one. Corners match the front. Determine its direction and move away. First up, back, second up, away, down, back, second down. So it's the same 8 moves over and over and over again. So because A and B is all you're learning, it's easy to learn. Slide up, slide up, slide down, slide down. There's another one. Okay. And for as long as there's a yellow or white in the middle, you just keep placing it towards the outside. If you don't find one, if you don't find a yellow or white in the middle and you have a piece that's incorrectly placed, so it's in the right, then just put a garbage piece into that spot to force it out into the middle, and then you can place it correctly. And we just keep doing that until there's no more yellow or whites in the middle. And then you check the sides, and if they're correct, you move on. If not, you could put a garbage piece into wherever the misplaced piece is, and proceed, continue, keep going. So that really is it. Just lather, rinse, repeat over and over again. When the yellow and whites are done, white goes face down, and we're going to check to see if the sides are correct. Find a piece that's incorrect and displace one of your yellows into that spot. And then we're going to place the piece that's not yellow from the top. And when we do, that yellow will eventually find its way back to the top. And when it does, then we reevaluate. So here's a green and a red. Bring the corners to match the front. Whole cube, the edge pieces is lined. The center is now virtually connected with the corners, so we move the whole cube, not just the bottom row. So corners match the front. So the corners match the front. It's going in the red direction, so it goes this way, up, up, down, down. Look for the piece on top that's not yellow. Line it up, determine its direction. Formula B. Slide up, slide up, slide down, slide down. Find another piece not yellow. Corners match the front. Formula B. And when your yellow finds its way back to the top, correctly or incorrectly, as long as it's back in the top layer, then you set the corners and you evaluate the rest of the cube. So this piece is not correct. So you find the piece that's not correct, and you bring you're going to displace a yellow into that piece. If the yellow is incorrect as well, it's more advantageous. So up, up, down, down. Bring it piece that's not yellow. Corners match the front. Determine its direction, and we're done. And then the thing is that the bigger cubes are just more of the same. You don't have to learn everyone else out there, every method out there, that because as humans, if it's not broke, we don't fix it. So back in the 80s, we learned to work around the centers, and then because if the center was incorrect, you would get a parity, an impossible situation. So larger cubes, we still kept working around the center simply because that's how we'd been taught, but you don't have to. And when you get to larger cubes, it becomes counterintuitive because of the possibility of a parity, and it's better to just fix the parity when you see it rather than memorize an algorithm. So this is not the fastest, this is not a speed solving method, it's not the fastest, and it's not the fewest moves method, but I believe it is the easiest one to learn, especially when you're comparing it to a method to any tutorial for a large cube. Any tutorial for a large cube that you're going to find is going to say do these things so it looks like a smaller cube, and then solve it like a smaller cube, which the reductionist method to me seems like extra work, because why place the cubes why solve as a 3x3 and then solve the 3x3 when you can just place the cube where it goes anyway, and just so you're not looking. I don't spend my time looking for pairs to match up and then later place. I just find a piece and place it, and as the pieces come, they will match each other up. All right, so that's me. I am Sunshine, and I like to teach cubes. If you want to help me demonstrate any ever, or you have a large cube you want me to help you walk through, or you have a non-cuber friend who says, I'm not smart enough to do it your way, just tell me the secret so I can solve the cube, and I don't have to worry about fast. If you're not worried about fast, if you're just solving the cube to be solving the cube because it's fun, and you want to, bring them to me, and I'll be happy to I'm set up to teach online. I have a Zoom. I will where I can see their cube and they can see my cube, and I can walk through catching the error, any errors that crop up as we're going along. So I do actually teach this. When I'm teaching, it takes me between an hour and a half and 2 hours total. I do 1 hour sessions, and then the first session is just learning the corners, because once you can do the formula A and the formula B without having to think about it, then you can move on to applying those to other pieces And so I have successfully taught everyone who's ever tried to learn, anyone who's ever asked me to teach them, with one exception being my sister, who got bored 10 minutes in and said, I'm sorry, my brain just doesn't work this way. Thank you anyway. So everyone I've taught can walk away with and pick up any large size cube, any size cube, and know they can put it down solved. But it's not a speed solving method. However, I do believe that it increases intuitive understanding of the cube if you're using algorithms. And the more you can intuit the cube before you start into your algorithms, I think the faster you're going to be. But I don't know. I've asked some speed cubers to try my method and see what they can get, how fast they can get on my method. And the last one to do so came back and said, just under 2 minutes. I'm like, okay, well, I know I'm not fast, and I know that I can do a 3x3 in a minute and a half. So I know whenever you're trying a new method, your speed goes down until you get practiced with the method, and then it goes back up again. So we'll see. Anybody? So bring me your non-cuber friends if you wanna. Bring me your publishing friends if you wanna. And I am here every weekday morning and Friday evenings and Saturday mornings. So thank you for spending your morning with me, letting me be in the background, just keeping you company as you get ready for your work or your school. And I appreciate you spending the time with me. And I'll be back tomorrow. So you guys go be nice to yourself and have a good day.